And that is when everything starts to change, because suddenly now you can set goals for yourself and you know that little by little you will get those goals done. So goal setting becomes really exciting, and you set bigger and bigger goals every time because you are backing yourself. And the more you do this, the more you are stepping into your true authentic nature. Welcome to Trujectory, the podcast committed to helping you align with who you really are, your true self. The one who is so comfortable with their uniqueness, so in love with life, and so effortlessly able to manifest everything they always dreamt of. I want this podcast to be a resource to help you jump into the driver's seat rather than continuing as a passenger in your own story. Let's understand why we choose to hold ourselves back so we can shed the lies that we've programmed into our minds. We can heal the root causes and step into the epic human that we know we can be. If you're ready to start aligning with your trajectory, let's do it. Hey fam, thanks for tuning in today. So today I really want to go through all of the things that I had to shift and to get out of my life to be able to step into my trajectory, into my true path, to be living the life that I'm living today. And I mean, I'm only at the beginning of this journey and it's already so amazing. Thank you, Ralph. I might have to start that again. Ooh, I'm going to try and look at the camera this time for a change. Ralphie, come on. Hey fam, thank you so much for tuning in today. So I am excited to just dive straight in to this one. I want to go through the 10 things that I had to shift to be able to step into my trajectory, my true path. And I mean, I'm only at the beginning of this whole new life that I'm creating for myself. And already the joy that I get to feel every day, the empowerment and the lifestyle that I'm living is blowing my mind. So I can only imagine, I can't even imagine how much better it's going to get, because I know it is going to get better and I'm already so freaking happy and I want this for all of you. So when I looked back over the last couple of years, over my lifetime in general, but the last couple of years in particular, when I've really started focusing on what is it that I want and started moving things around in my life and creating new habits and new patterns to be able to get myself to this position, I have found that there are 10 things in particular that have really just helped me quantum leap to this stage. So number one, and they're not in any particular order, but I do want to start with this one because this is such a freaking huge one for me. I had to drop sugar. And for someone who would literally eat 2 family blocks of chocolate in one sitting at least once or twice a week, this was a really tough one. I would have sugar in my coffees. I used to have V's all the time, those energy drinks. Chocolate was the biggest one for me. It really was. It always has been. And it's actually only been about 2 months now since I have completely cut it. I've completely cut the chocolate side of things. I've still had a little bit of sugar here and there. In a coffee occasionally. I don't really drink coffee that much anymore. When I do, I like to sort of treat myself. But I also have a little bit of honey, so that's a more natural sugar, even though still technically it is sugar. But what I found is, apart from the physical side of it, the lethargy that I would feel afterwards, the stiff, achy joints, the muscle tension, I don't know about you guys, but I really started to see the correlation between when I eat chocolate how crappy my body would feel after. It was literally linked. But the next thing I started to realize, when I started to cut it out a little bit, baby steps, little by little, I would cut more out each week. And I started to realize my mental health started to get so much better. And it sounds so obvious. We know this. There are articles upon articles written about this. Sugar linked to depression and anxiety and ADHD and all of these sorts of things. And we know that. If you haven't seen that amazing film, I can't remember his name, the Aussie director, but it's called That Sugar Film. If you haven't seen that, check it out, because it's about this guy who basically, he's about to have his first child with his wife, and he doesn't want his child growing up in a world where, sugar is just so readily available and promoted by government, by schools, by everyone. So he went on this mission where I think it was 3 months or something, where he would eat nothing but he didn't even eat technically bad things. He didn't go and eat chocolate and ice cream and all those sorts of things. He went and ate only a diet that was recommended by the government, by the system, and all of the sorts of things that you would see in a kid's lunchbox, like, K-Time bars and juice boxes and all sorts of things like that. And he had doctors that were monitoring him the entire time, and he found so many mind-blowing things. I mean, he became almost diabetic. His gut grew 3 times its size. He was extremely depressed. And anyway, long story short, I've noticed the same about myself. And it took such a long time to understand, why am I having such massive, boosts of positive energy and joy and vibrancy and everything, and then complete depression the next day. And that depression could last an hour, could last 2 days, could last 3, 4, 5 days. But what it did was it made me not able to rely on myself, not able to trust myself, because I couldn't commit to anything. I wasn't sure if I was going to be feeling like literally almost suicidal one day and then completely on cloud 9 the next day. I was so erratic and all over the place, and it was really frustrating for myself. Obviously, it was hard to get work done, because one day it was hard to push forward on, goals, because one day I'd be fine. I'd be going, 1,000 miles a minute going, oh my gosh, I'm on my path, I'm blazing through. And the next day it would be complete nihilistic mentality where, what's the point? There's no need to do anything. I may as well just die. And literally very dark thoughts. And it's ever since stopping sugar, I haven't had days like that. I really haven't. It's been a while now. It's been long enough for me to monitor this and go, okay, those moods have gone. So dropping sugar was huge. I don't expect people who are hooked on sugar to be able to drop it overnight. I certainly couldn't. And, I have had, I think 1 or 2 days where I've tested it, where I've had a little bit of chocolate since I completely dropped it off, to just see if my mood did that shift. And it did. So I had, I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I had one night where I had some chocolate-covered freeze-dried strawberries. I absolutely love those things. But there's a lot of chocolate involved in that and a lot of sugar. And the next day and the 2 days after that, I think it was 3 days in a row, I was completely depressed again. And it was this really dark depression where I felt like, what is the point in trying with anything? So anyway, number 1, if you can start to try and cut down bit by bit, just halve it to start with, and then continue to take off bits and pieces as much as you can. You might be having sugar in all of your different meals. Maybe try and have one meal that is completely free of sugar for a week or for 2 weeks, and then go to 2 meals that are completely free of sugar. Maybe just cut it out of your coffee. Maybe just stop having that slice that you have with your coffees in the mornings. It could be anything. You'll know what's best for you, but I highly, highly, highly recommend that one. The next one was I started working out regularly. And this is also what helped me drop the sugar, because, when you're doing so many good things for your body, working out regularly, waking up early, sweating your ass off, getting your butt kicked by your trainer not every day, but I think I'm going 4 or 5 days a week. It's really hard to then sit on the couch and eat 2 full blocks of chocolate and feel okay about it. I mean, I never felt great about it to start with, but now I'm too aware of how much I'm starting to improve my body and my physicality and my strength and my everything. So I really didn't want to be eating all of that sugar and then completely undoing all of the hard work that I've done. So working out regularly, it helped me with the sugar cutoff, but it also gave me so much more vitality, so much energy. And especially when I work out in the mornings, I would either do a morning session or I'll do a lunchtime session. And either way is great, but I do really love the mornings because you're just starting your day off so amazingly. You are giving yourself time. your phone's not around, you don't have any commitments to anyone you've got, whether it's an hour or 2 hours or 45 minutes, whatever the session time is for whatever activity you're doing, that is just you and your body. You are giving all of your focus and attention. Nice, that's attention and energy combined. I like that. You're giving all of your attention to just focusing on your body. And this is something that a lot of us forget about so often. We forget about this vessel, this vehicle that's carrying us around, that is literally, it's being put through everything that we make it do. And it's not demanding a lot from us. It's healing itself. It's rectifying all sorts of different ailments as we go. And yet, a lot of the time, we don't really focus our energy on saying thank you and building its strength and doing things that are genuinely good just for our body. So, loving working out now. And I came from a place where I couldn't work out. I couldn't be physically active in any way. I could barely even hold a camera by about 2 years into starting to have seizures. So I started in 2020, and by end of 2021, I could barely hold a camera. I was shaking, my arms were shaking. I was half the size I am now. I was 56 kilos, and I'm 6 foot. No, I'm not. 5'10". So I'm pretty tall, and I was just over 55 kilos, which was shockingly thin. I actually didn't realize how thin it was at the time. But the point is, for a really long time, I couldn't work out. So now that I have that energy and have that extra just willingness to go to the gym, it is changing the rest of my days. It's changing everything. And I think we all know this. I think this is a very obvious one, but it's just one of those things, again, it's sort of like until you actually start doing it yourself and getting the consistency, you kind of start to build up in your head that it's just overrated, or, some people work out, but it's just not for me, and it's okay. I don't really need to work out. And once you do get into the routine of it, it's one of those things that it's then so embedded into your routine because you feel so fucking good every single time you work out that you don't want to go a day without it. So I'm at the point now where I've been able to work myself up slowly. I had to start with just 2 days a week, then 3 days a week. Now I'm at the point where I'm either doing 4, 5, or 6, depending on how my energy's going and how I'm feeling. So that has picked up my momentum, my energy, and it's given me all of this extra energy. I know I'm saying it a lot, but it amplifies you, right? So I have the fuel to then get the things done every day that I want to, not just the things I have to do, but then on top of that, the things that I want to do that are helping steer me towards the life that I want to lead. So at the end of every day, I'm feeling really accomplished and I'm feeling like I'm achieving so much more. And it's all because I have that extra energy, that extra fuel in the tank to get shit done. So thank you, morning gym sessions. The next thing I did was, again, not in order, this is one of the things I did, I had to change my definition of success massively. So my dream life, my idea of success is based around lifestyle. You could have all of the money in the world, you could have the accolades, awards, fame, whatever it is, but if you're not living a lifestyle that you thoroughly enjoy, what's the use in that? What if you have millions of dollars but you're doing something you hate every day? What if you have 10,000 trophies on your wall but you don't like the thing that you have to do to get those trophies? To me, that's not success at all. That's just a different version of the grind, just struggle town. And so I stopped thinking that I need so many followers. This was a story that I had told myself, as I think a lot of us do. We tell ourselves we need to have millions of followers to be able to have any sort of impact, to be able to do this, to be able to do that. And we're always comparing ourselves to other people who have those big followers. We're comparing it just to where they're at now. We're not looking at all of the years and work and sacrifice and hard times that they've been through to get to that point where they have embodied their true self, which is then what has allowed other people to be attracted and drawn to their message. We're just comparing ourselves at the very start of our journey to people who are at the, not end of their journey, but are at a successful point in their journey. And that would always make me quite depressed, and I'd start to lose hope and start to think, well, there's no point. I've only got, 100 followers. So who's going to listen to me? And I had to change my definition of success. So to me, being successful is following your fire, following your passion, talking about the things that light you up, and not for the hope of this many people must view it or it's not been worthwhile. Doing it for you. And it took me a long time to step back and be able to do it just for me, to not have any expectation on the results or the numbers or the reach of the content that I'm creating, to just go, I have a thing that I want to say. It's bubbling inside of me. I have the ability to say it. I have the tools. I have the resources. I have the outlets. I'm going to just start speaking. And it's that in itself is fulfilling for me, to be able to just say what's on my mind. And I'm actually finding that just by being my true self, as we all find out, you start to attract such beautiful people into your world. But you can't fake it. You can't be a phony and be claiming to be your true self. You just have to be you. And it sounds so much more simple than it is. I understand that. That's why I'm doing the work that I'm doing with people, helping them understand how to step into their true selves, because it's a freaking lifetime worth of work if you're not really focused on it and understanding the motive behind it, the motivation behind why you want to do the things you want to do. And so, where am I? I'm losing my train of thought. So I have replaced the focus of needing a reach, needing, this many followers and an audience that's this big or that big. I've replaced that with, I want to be of service. I want to help people, and I can't push that help on anyone. People are going to ask for help when they need help. But what I can do is speak my truth, say what I believe in, say my message, talk about the things that I have found in my own lived experience so far. And this is my way of being of service. And if people want to come and work with me, then they now know how to reach me. Whereas before, I was just in my own head, in my own space, and no one knew that I even was interested in this sort of work. So showing up for myself already is my definition of success. Doing the things that I want to do and that light me up. And that is talking about the potential of humans, of how amazing we are and how we forget how amazing we are. And just drawing out that divine spark that we completely forget about when we come here to this planet. When we're so young, we just forget everything. It's incredible. But anyways, so what's next? I definitely had to install some discipline. Discipline was a big one for me. I liked to rebel against myself. So even though I was trying to get myself to do things that I knew would benefit me, after 2 or 3 days of doing whatever that would be, whether it was, trying to cook at home every day, I would, and that's actually one of the things on the list, instead of being able to do that constantly, I'd do it for a couple of days and then I'd rebel against myself. And, I want to do whatever I want to do. And even I'm fighting with myself. It's like, come on, understand why you need this discipline in here. And this is where it's really important to know what you're heading towards. Because if you don't have a clear vision of the you that you know you want to be, then your discipline is going to fall by the wayside very quickly. You're going to do a few days of hustle. You're going to feel all motivated, and then your old patterns are going to step back in. There are so many different studies on this, so many different numbers attached to this thing, but one study says that it takes 21 days to create a new habit. I think that would be the absolute minimum. You can create a new habit if you have a very elevated emotion attached to it. So if something big happens to you and you realize, maybe you have a health scare, a very serious health scare. So you found out that because you've been eating this one thing, you potentially have this life-threatening illness. That heightened emotion attached to that eating that bad thing will shift you out of that habit very quickly. So you can have an instantaneous habit shift, but it's very rare. So looking at these other studies of minimum, I would say, of 21 days to create a new habit means you really have to stay on this path and keep changing these habits until they're really installed and embedded into your system. And if you don't know where you're going and you aren't so passionate and fired up about that thing, that person, that vision of you that you're heading towards, then what's going to keep you motivated when you have a day where you really just want to slack off? What's going to be the thing that kicks your butt when no one around you is kicking your butt? You're not going to have anyone come in and say, hey, it's time to go. Come on. Time to get into action today. Let's do it. It's all you. You have got to be your own trainer, your own teacher, your own motivational coach for a lot of this work. So discipline was something that I really had to get my head around. And what happened was when I started to implement more discipline, I would start by having a couple of non-negotiables. And I've spoken about this in previous episodes, but I would have a few things that I want to get done every day, but I would have 2 or 3 non-negotiables. And these couple of things have evolved over time, and they'll keep evolving as I change the things that I need in my life to get me where I want to go. But whether it was no looking at your phone for the first 2 or 3 hours when you wake up, or making sure I have a 3-hour break between eating dinner and going to bed, or making sure that I eat 3 meals that all are very protein rich rather than carb or sugar heavy, whatever it was, as long as I achieved those non-negotiables every day, I would go to bed each night feeling proud of myself. Then I would start to see progress. Then I would start to understand what I'm capable of. Then I would start to build confidence because I'm starting to trust myself. I'm starting to believe that I will do the things that I say I'm going to do. And that is when everything starts to change, because suddenly now you can set goals for yourself and you know that little by little you will get those goals done. So goal setting becomes really exciting, and you set bigger and bigger goals every time because you are backing yourself. And the more you do this, the more you are stepping into your true authentic nature. The version of you who wants to sit on the couch and eat chips and chocolate and ice cream and binge watch TV shows that you've already seen 3,000 times, that's the version that is fear-based, that understands that it's avoiding something. That's the part that sort of wants to just run away and hide because it doesn't trust that it can actually achieve these big things. And sometimes it's actually the part of you that wants to run away because it does believe that it can achieve those big things. And the fear of success actually freaks you out as well, can freak us all out. So baby steps with discipline is such a game changer because it just starts to build your self-trust. And when you can do that, your confidence is just expanding day by day. When your confidence expands, you feel more comfortable being in your true, authentic self. And when you're your authentic self, you're going to start thinking, I'm a broken record, but I'm going to keep repeating this message. I can't speak. I'm going to keep repeating this message. When you are your true, authentic self, you become a manifestation magnet. You can easily draw in the relationships, the connections, the experiences that you have always dreamed of, because you are vibrating at such a high frequency of pure light. You have cleared all of your distortions, and you are literally just a creator. You are just moving around, creating all of the things that you've always dreamed of with ease. So this is the goal. This is where we're all heading towards. It's just a matter of how focused are we on what that true self version of us looks like. And however exciting that looks, the more exciting that version looks, the more you're going to install this discipline, and you're going to really keep that motivation behind you when you have an off day, because you know that you're heading towards greatness. Now, reading every night, that's another one. That's been a game changer. I'd cut out TV to a major extent. I used to watch a shitload of TV and movies and everything. So I cut that out, cut it down, but I was still watching TV up until the point where I would go to bed. So then I'd be going to bed with my head still a bit wired, a little ADHD vibe going on, and it would take me a while to slow down and actually sleep. So the first half hour, 45 minutes of laying in bed with my eyes closed, I'd just be sort of going, okay, get tired. You know, you were tired 2 minutes ago when you were on the couch watching TV. Now, as soon as you're in bed, you're, wide awake again, and it was frustrating. So I now give myself at least half an hour, if not more, to get into bed, get everything settled, nice mood lighting, maybe a candle, set the tone, make it enjoyable for yourself, and read. And so I'm calming my body down. My nervous system is having a chance to breathe before it goes into sleep, where it's going into healing mode. And I'm doing something for myself. Again, I'm learning something every day, depending on what book I'm reading. And that has been a huge game changer for me. It also makes sure that I have a really deep sleep, and so that I can wake up early. I'm waking up earlier and earlier these days, and the more I get that gentle slow down into sleep the night before, the better my mornings are becoming. So my morning routine almost kind of starts with the half hour of reading before I go to bed the night before. It's sort of all a package deal. Home cooking, another one. So like I tapped on before, home cooking, my gosh, I am obsessed with it now. I really am. I used to order Uber Eats, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times a week, whether it was breakfast, lunch, dinners, whatever. And these days I get so excited when it's cooking time, because I'm doing something good for myself. I'm cooking healthy meals. I can cook them better than restaurants these days. I mean, not all restaurants, obviously some are incredible, but in general, I go to a restaurant these days very occasionally, or a cafe, and when I have a meal presented to me, I'm thinking, I could make this better at home. So I end up just taking the ideas from restaurants and cafes and going and creating my own healthy version at home. So it's a great opportunity for me to be mindful, to be present in the act of cooking. So I'm calming down. It's meditative. It's visceral. It's exciting. It always ends with a fantastic result. You get to eat something yummy. And I'm exploring new meals every day. And I'm creating so many new dishes that I get to then share with other people. And it's just fun. And again, this is something that I thought, I don't have time for that. It stresses me out to do it. I just want to order in. And these days, even when I have days where I'm a little bit tired, or I just, I don't feel it as much as most other days, I still don't want to order Uber Eats, because I know how much better my own cooking is. And a lot of the meals that you can make are so super easy. It doesn't take that long to make. I've actually created, 90% of the meals that I make are only a maximum of 20 to 30 minutes of, prep time, cooking time, serving time, all of it. And some of them are even 5 minutes. Some of them I do food prep for on the weekends, and then I just assemble some things. So you can get creative, you can change it up, but knowing what is going in your body and having that pre-planned meal plan, like that menu for each week, has just changed my mood. Again, when I was talking about the sugar and how I would drop into these low moods after having such a high energy sugar hit, and then a big drop, of course, afterwards, with all of the chemicals and all of my hormones just going bam, hitting the floor. It's the same when you order in Uber. You don't necessarily know what chemicals, what preservatives, what's going into these meals. So when you cook at home, you can control that element, and you know that you're only getting really good, solid foods into your system. And this, of course, feeds into working out at the gym and having less sugar. All of those things together help each other. If you're eating really crappy, you're going to feel crappy in the morning. You're not going to want to go to the gym. And then if you're not going to the gym, you're going to be beating yourself up. And when you start beating yourself up and getting a low mood, that's when you usually start to crave bad habits. It's when those bad habits start to seep back in and go, hey, I can make you feel better right now. I can give you a dopamine hit if you just have some chocolate, or if you just lay on the couch and order in some pizza. And of course, then what happens? You feel like absolute shit afterwards. So those 3 things together really do help each other out. So I would highly recommend, again, just start small. Even if you are already ordering shitloads online, Uber Eats, shitloads of Uber Eats every week, then start with 2 meals a week that you are cooking, or start with the same meal every day. So every breakfast is something that you cook, or every lunchtime. And you will start to find that your cooking is so much better than the crap that you're buying out now. They're making it so fast. They're making it with not a lot of love, and that shit is real. You can tell when something's been made with love. Try cooking for yourself, get really into the vibe, set the tone, put on an audiobook, put on some music, enjoy the process. This is again time for you to just be with you. So the next thing is my morning routine. And I've done a whole episode about that because it was so it changed everything for me. So I have incorporated things for my physical body, for my emotional body, for my mental body, for my spiritual body. And all of those things you can listen to in that episode. So go into detail there, but highly recommend that one. I had to drop perfectionism. So this is number 8. I had to drop this one. This was huge for me. I was such a perfectionist with everything I did because I create video content for a living. Whenever I wanted to create, a podcast even, or some social media content or anything, I wanted to tweak it and add this and add that and put my flair on it and do this and do that. And the amount of time that would have gone into all of those things the way I really, really want it done to meet my perfectionistic standards would mean that I am losing so much time. It is just not worth putting in that time for one little video. And to be able to do that, for 30 videos throughout a week or something like that, it just got completely unreasonable. So it came down to a choice of don't do it because, I had to do it perfect or nothing, or adopt what I'm calling my clunky phase. Adopt the knowledge that I'm just starting out now and be kind to myself. It took a long time for me to go, Sarah, you're not going to be perfect straight out the gate. Like, it's not going to happen. And to be honest, to do the shit that I really want to do, I need people to help me. I'm going to need a team around me at some point. That's coming later down the road. But for now, I need to start. And I need to stop beating myself up for having things slightly out of line to what I had originally envisioned. And so dropping perfectionism has been one of the biggest things that has allowed me to literally start doing this work. If you struggle with that, I feel you. It's a tough one to drop, but to be honest, once you drop it, it's so liberating. It's like, you've heard how many freaking typos? Look, there's another one. How many, I don't even know what you would call it. How many mess ups like I've said in this episode. And in the past, I would have wanted to edit every single little misspoken word out of this podcast right now. And guess what? I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to laugh at myself later. It'll be fantastic. And yeah, so that's a big one. So number 9, reframe. I had to reframe what a mistake/failure was. And I had to adopt a healthy learning and growth mindset. So instead of feeling like, if I made one mistake, then everything's over. There's no point in doing this anymore. And that is definitely the mentality I used to have. I would go, 10 steps forward, take a couple of steps back and go, you know what? Look at me moving backwards. This isn't going to work out. And I had to completely reframe that. Any mistake, any failure, and again, this is something we all know, but we forget and we judge ourselves so harshly. We judge ourselves more harshly than we would judge anyone else. And it's like, give yourself the same respect and same compassion and more chances than just one, the same that you would give to other people, because you deserve that. You deserve that especially from yourself. And so now I'm really excited because I have had this mentality shift, and it is so empowering to know that I've chosen to do this work, this podcast, the program that I'm going to be releasing soon, working with people one-to-one, doing a whole bunch of masterclasses. And I know that I'm going to hit a shitload of dips along the way, a shitload of hurdles and roadblocks and all sorts of things that are going to make me think, whoa, I need to reevaluate, or I need to do this or that. And I know now that no matter what, I'm going to get through them. I know that even if I have to take 10 steps forward and 9 steps back, I've still made progress. And in fact, taking those 9 steps back has shown me what not to do in the future. It's all just learning. It really, truly is. It's such a simple, quick mindset shift. But when you can show yourself the compassion to be flawed and to own the fact that you're flawed, and to understand that learning, that mistakes and failure are literally a part of the process. They're not separate. They're not reserved for only a certain amount of people that just fuck shit up. They are part of the process. So anything that you want to do, you are going to make mistakes because you're learning something new. So every single mistake you make is a fantastic learning curve. And that has just, that's just set me on a totally different path. And my mentality around everything I do has been so much more positive since then. And the final thing that I had to do to shift into this work is to get very clear on why I wanted to do this work. And this comes back to when I used to work in an office job for 7 years that I absolutely hated. And previous to that, I was working part-time jobs for another 7 years before that. But for 5 years before that. Math's not a strong point. I worked in this job. It was a multitude of jobs. I was working in the government. I was doing contract temping because I actually got offered permanency a couple of times, but I really didn't want that. So I kept jumping to different jobs to at least feel like I was getting a little bit of variety. And some people absolutely love working in the government. I know quite a few people who do, and hats off to them. That's fantastic. For me, as a creative, as someone who needed freedom and expression and creative outlets all the time, it was like being in a prison. It really, really was. And I do not want to think about anyone else feeling that way about work. I've been working at a production house now as a creative director, creating all sorts of beautiful video content and digital media for over 10 years now. And the joy that I feel every day going to work, going to my job is incredible. And I forget how many people are still going to jobs that they are dragging themselves off to, hating being at. And so this is why I want to do this work. And even when I have days where I go, I really don't want to do this thing today, and I start to dip on my, my discipline or my non-negotiables, and I think, I don't have strength for that today. This is when it's really important to come back to, why is it that I've started doing this in the first place? And is that reason important enough for me to get up and do this thing that I don't want to do? And the answer is always yes. Because it is always, to me, so important to help people understand that they can do more and be more, and they can see their own potential if they're willing to look deep enough, if they're willing to do the inner work, and if they're willing to believe that they deserve that. Because everyone does. Everyone deserves to live the big, beautiful, abundant, joyful life that we all came here to live. Before we forgot all of our potential, all of our capabilities, all of the limitless possibilities that we have. We've got to get back to that. And that's what I'm really, really excited to see people do. And that's the work that I'm doing one-on-one with people at the moment. And that's what lights me up. So anytime that I have a little bit of a lag day where I'm a bit slow, sluggish, and really not wanting to, I check out my non-negotiables. I check in on my reason why I want to do this. I remember to reframe my mistakes and failures and make sure that I'm not judging myself for doing something wrong that I perceived as wrong. And I get back to work. And those are the 10 things that I had to shift to step into my trajectory. And like I said at the beginning, I'm only at the start of my journey. I've been working as a creative director for 10 years. I'm just stepping into this work now. This is the stuff that I have been wanting to do my whole life, helping other people achieve their potential and see themselves for who they really are. Because seriously, cheesy as it may sound, you're all fucking amazing. You really, really are. Everyone in their own unique, weird, awesome, quirky ways. And forgetting that is a tragedy. So if I can help anyone remember how amazing they are, then I'm all good. I'm happy. So anyway, I hope you've taken something out of this episode. Those are the 10 things I had to shift to get where I am today. And I wish you all the best. Get in touch with me via social media if you have any specific topics that you want me to talk about, any questions, or you just want to reach out. Please feel free to subscribe to the podcast. I have to remember to ask people to do that. Because, even I know, unless someone asks me to do it, I completely forget to do it. I just listen and bail. So if you want to stay in the loop and if you want to stay in touch with these episodes, myself, solo episodes every week and a guest episode every week, then subscribe and stay in touch. But for now, stay you, stay true. Love you. Mwah.